Okay, we'll start with this. Last night, as the co-main event of a Golden Boy Promotions show, former champions Regis Prograis and Jojo Diaz duked it out in what was a very entertaining fight. I knew that it would be, and I knew that at the end of it, Regis would be the one with his hand raised, though I'd be lying to you if I said that I was impressed with what I saw.
I wasn't.
It was worrying at times, mid-range to inside. What is normally Regis Prograis' sweet spot, he looked quite vulnerable there against an aggressive Jojo Diaz, at times throwing 3 and 4 punch combinations as he attempted to stalk Regis Prograis, get close to him.
Counter hooks that knocked Regis Prograis off balance. Counter hooks from Jojo Diaz that seemed to affect Regis's equilibrium, and bear in mind that Jojo's never really been a big puncher or a knockout merchant, and this is a guy who's fought as low as 122,
whereas this fight took place at 142, just above junior welter. At welter, you don't expect that Jojo should be hurting this guy, but he is. I expected that Regis would have the heavier hands of the two, but a prolonged stay in the 140-pound division seems to have sapped both his punch resistance and his power.
He's shot, man.
So you're thinking to yourself, well, if it's as bad as you say, Ring IQ, how did this guy get the decision? How did he win the fight? By moving and punching and sticking the jab in Jojo Diaz's face with some regularity. See, I felt that stylistically, this would be a better fight for Regis than his last 3 fights against movers and boxers. Guys like Regis don't do well against that style, but against a guy who's going to come to him,
he will do better. And he did do better.
He didn't get knocked down in this fight like he did in the Devin Haney fight or the Jack Catterall fight.
He did better.
Didn't miss most of his punches in this fight like he did in the Devin Haney fight.
He did better.
But when the bar is set so exceptionally low, anything is better than what we've been getting from Regis Prograis in his last 3 fights. And I feel like last night's fight was confirmation of what a lot of people have been saying. I myself couldn't call Regis a shot fighter based on his last 3 fights. I felt that, well, those were bad style matchups. That doesn't really tell the story.
Last night's fight did.
Now I can agree with everybody else. Regis is very much a shot fighter. His punch resistance is gone, and his power is waning. He doesn't land with the same authority that he used to, because here you have a guy who presents a style that he normally does well with, and he still looked vulnerable. How many times did he get hurt? By my count, it had to be about 3 or 4 in the exchange whenever Jojo Diaz got in with a counter hook. And Jojo is not a power guy.
But I saw Jojo hurt Regis more times than I saw Regis hurt Jojo. And Regis is supposed to be the naturally bigger guy.
How he won the fight was by drawing Jojo Diaz in, who didn't have much of a choice, but try to get close to Regis, and Regis would stick the jab out there and keep the jab out there, set up other punches off of the jab. He was busy within the rounds and in the fight, using the ring and moving around on an advancing Jojo Diaz, and he landed on Jojo with some regularity. But as stated, whenever Jojo got in with a solid shot, Regis was knocked off balance.
To make a long story short, that was a lot more difficult fight for Regis than it should have been.
After the fight, he said, "That was the most fun I've had in 2 months. Can't wait to do it again after a good break. Shout out to Golden Boy Promotions, DAZN Boxing, and Oscar De La Hoya." He says that was fun, but it didn't look like it. Not based on what I saw. Based on what I saw, I think that Subriel Matias would be too much for Regis Prograis. Gary Antoine Russell.
At this point, I think the both of them would stop Regis.
Richardson Hitchens and Teofimo Lopez would likely outbox him and win a points decision. The Regis that I saw yesterday does not win a belt from anyone at 140 pounds.
Not that the fight was at 140, because it wasn't. It was fought at 142.
The prediction stuck. He won the fight for the reasons I said he would win the fight, but he didn't look good. Just didn't look good. Maybe he stayed at 140 pounds a bit too long, depleting himself, and he lost something that he can now not get back. Not in his mid-30s.
Cannot trust him to either be a solid 140-pounder who can punch, or a solid welterweight who can punch.
But the prediction stuck. I said that it would be Regis Prograis that leaves this fight with his hand raised, and that's what happened. An uncertain future for the former champion.
You gotta go life or death with Jojo Diaz. How many wars do you really have left in you?
In the main event, we saw a very spirited bout between Oscar Duarte and Kenny Sims in front of a hometown crowd for Kenny Sims, that hometown curse.
Showed up yesterday.
Another prediction that stuck, I felt that Oscar Duarte would be too aggressive and too strong and too persistent for Kenny Sims, a boxer, a mover, and a guy who's not big on power. And if you're not big on power, I just don't see how you're going to deal with the pressure from this guy.
If you can't land with authority.
Credit to Kenny Sims for hanging in there and going the distance, at times showing good defense while on the run. Tucked behind that guard, catching punches on the arms and gloves, blocking the onslaught from Oscar Duarte at times, though still not very good optics when you're on the ropes and you're letting this guy unload. You're on the receiving end of all those punches. Some are getting in, some aren't.
But round after round, it's the same aesthetic. Oscar is pushing you into those ropes. You can't hold the center of the ring. You can't hurt him. You can't back him off. All you can do is endure.
It's what we saw. And in those moments where Oscar's punches actually connect, Kenny showed a good chin. But you don't win rounds by showing a good chin.
Showing a good chin is just that. It shows you can take a hit, but it also shows you're getting hit.
Still credit to Kenny for showing good durability and doing his best to weather the storm. Oscar Duarte, a physically strong pressure fighter at 140 pounds. Very entertaining to watch. What you see is what you get. You know what to expect.
Not a hard fighter to understand outwardly, but in between those ropes, it's difficult to deal with a guy like that.
Persistent guy, a physically strong guy, very active within a round, willing to take one, to give one, willing to take chances, to land damaging punches. It's not hard to understand when you're not the one that has to deal with it, but when you're the one that has to deal with it, it is difficult. Oscar Duarte won the fight by being aggressive and by being busy. It's not hard to understand.
What's next for Oscar Duarte?
After what is his fourth win in a row, taking his record to 29-2 with one draw, he is currently ranked 5th by the WBA in the 140-pound rankings, although that is expected to rise with this latest win. Prior to the fight taking place, Duarte said he wanted to target Subriel Matias, newly crowned WBC super lightweight champion, in what would be another chapter in the Mexico versus Puerto Rico rivalry.
Oscar Duarte of Mexico, Subriel Matias of the island of Puerto Rico, pressure fighter versus pressure fighter. That promises to be a fan-friendly fight.
An action fight if they can get it made. The issue is Subriel is otherwise preoccupied. He's got a mandatory challenger in Dalton Smith and 3 other champions at the weight that I'm sure he would prefer to fight.
Currently on a 3-fight winning streak.
After beating Roberto Ramirez and Gabriel Valenzuela, Alberto Puello, respectively, the Puello win is what made him WBC champion at 140. Matias' record stands at 23-2 with no draws and 22 wins by way of knockout. He's definitely one of the bigger punchers at the weight.
You think he can beat Oscar Duarte?
I think punch for punch, Subriel is a more damaging puncher than Oscar Duarte. I think that Oscar's fight with Kenny Sims yesterday was basically Matias' fight with Alberto Puello.
It's practically the same fight, same style matchup. It was the same aesthetic.
I'm very excited and motivated. I feel now like I am a world champion. It will take a little more time for the world title to come to me, but it will come. I feel like I have it now. I enjoy the work every day. After this win, I will talk to Matias and tell him, I want you. All the while, Oscar fought in a WBA eliminator yesterday. The WBA champion is not Subriel Matias, it's Gary Antoine Russell.
If the Gary Antoine Russell fight were next, I would favor Gary to win the fight. If the Subriel Matias fight were next, I would favor Subriel to win the fight. The silver lining for Oscar Duarte is I don't think either of those fights are going to be his next fights. No, I think that next,
Regis?
they will
Prograis.
put him in the ring with Regis. I don't think that Regis was in the co-main event for no reason. I think it's Golden Boy's intention to do the Prograis versus Duarte fight next.
Weren't they supposed to do that fight before?
They actually were. It was supposed to go down earlier this year in February, but Regis Prograis had to pull out due to a shoulder injury. I anticipate that because Regis won his fight and Oscar won his fight, they're going to reschedule it now, perhaps before the end of this year.
And where before, I would have given Regis a fighting chance against an aggressive pressure fighter like Oscar Duarte. Now, I'm not so sure, not based on what I saw from Regis yesterday, that if Oscar can get in with a few solid shots, like JoJo got in with a few solid shots, Oscar can do more damage. Oscar can knock out Regis Prograis.
Regis is shot.
He's cooked. If JoJo Diaz can hurt you, JoJo, who's never been known for power, and we know he's not a knockout merchant, if he can hurt you, Oscar can stop you. And I think that might be the next fight for Oscar Duarte. He may have world title aspirations, but all the world champions have other fights on their mind and bigger fish to fry than Oscar Duarte, so he will have to play the waiting game a while longer.
So long as he can stay consistent and stay winning, who knows? Maybe some of these guys will start to unravel. Maybe some of those fights will become more winnable. Time will tell the story. I felt that Oscar Duarte would get the job done yesterday, and he did.
The prediction's stuck, and congratulations to him. Now, as it pertains to another one of Golden Boy Promotions' fighters, Ryan Garcia, yesterday during a live broadcast, Oscar De La Hoya said that he doesn't want to make a rematch between Ryan and Rolly. He said the first fight was a dull fight. The first fight wasn't that entertaining. The first fight wasn't a big deal.
But it was a big deal that Ryan lost. Everybody expected him to win.
There's other big fights we can make with the likes of Teofimo and other fighters out there. We knew there was trouble in paradise when it came to a Ryan versus Rolly rematch because Ryan said as much when he spoke to Manuk Akopiang.
We knew there was trouble in paradise because Rolly recently took to his social media asking, who should he fight?
At a time where he's supposed to be negotiating that rematch with Ryan Garcia. As far as Rolly, and what Rolly can do, if he's not fighting Ryan again, he can fight Manny Pacquiao. He can fight Manny on his own side of the street where Manny just drew with Mario Barrios. Or he can unify titles with Mario Barrios. It really speaks to how weak the gene pool is at welterweight right now, that guys like Mario and Rolly are champions.
It's a shit show.
But he can do that. Rolly was never the one that needed the Ryan Garcia rematch. Ryan needs it more than Rolly. Rolly's got options. Ryan does too, many of which don't actually favor Ryan Garcia. Because when you talk about Teofimo versus Ryan Garcia, I don't really like Teofimo as a boxer or as a person, but I favor him to win that fight.
I like him to win that one.
So we know that Teofimo won't be boxing at any Riyadh season or Ring Magazine shows, per Turkey LL Sheikh himself, who said that Teofimo insulted both his country and his religion. And Teofimo seems to be on the outs with Top Rank as well. I mean, they're between broadcasters right now, so it's not likely we see Teofimo on a Top Rank show.
We don't know when the next time Top Rank is even going to do a show for Teofimo or anybody.
What we do know is that Oscar De La Hoya recently expressed an interest in bringing Teofimo to Golden Boy Promotions. He would like to sign him if Teofimo is available to be signed, and he looks to do that with a Ryan Garcia fight. That is the lure.
That honeymoon won't last long.
That is how he hopes to ensnare him, entice him with a big Ryan Garcia fight. They try to bill it as a pay-per-view. Personally, I don't know how well that would do at the box office. Ryan's drawing power.
It took a hit. You lost the rolling.
Teofimo, in spite of being an accomplished fighter, he never had that much drawing power to begin with. So at the box office, I don't know how much or how little this fight would sell.
Why does Oscar want to do it?
Because Oscar knows that Ryan Garcia only has one fight left on his existing Golden Boy Promotions deal, and Ryan has every intention of leaving the outfit after that. There's not much chance you re-sign Ryan Garcia, so you need someone to replace him. Enter Teofimo Lopez.
That's who he wants to replace him with.
Teofimo's unstable too. I mean, that kid's head is a bag of cats, the same as Ryan Garcia's, but he is a more accomplished fighter than Ryan Garcia.
Right?
In spite of his head being scrambled eggs, he has gotten himself together enough to rack up 1 or 2 solid victories. I mean, you heard Ryan Garcia say that the lack of atmosphere in the Times Square show affected him, but it didn't affect Teofimo. He boxed on that same card. He beat Arnold Barbosia.
This is why Oscar wants to sign Teofimo. He wants to use Ryan Garcia's last fight of his Golden Boy Promotions deal to feed him to Teofimo.
It's a smart play from Oscar, if I do say so myself. When you got a fighter that doesn't like you, doesn't want to be with you, isn't likely to re-sign, this is the best way to go about things. This is the smartest play. Use that fighter to get another fighter. Now, I don't know if it's going to work.
Ryan Garcia has got to know that Oscar wants to use him to ensnare Teofimo. So what should Ryan do? What's the smartest play for Brian?
Ryan.
Well, this is going to sound funny, but Ryan may need to take a page out of Edgar Berlanga's playbook. What was Edgar's last fight of his Matchroom deal? It wasn't a big fight. It was a fight against some nobody, some nondescript fighter on the undercard of Ammo Williams' fight.
And that's what Ryan Garcia should do. Instead of dragging this out, looking for a big purse for what is your final fight of the Golden Boy Promotions deal, just get it over with.
Don't prolong it.
It's not actually a good idea to fight Teofimo Lopez when you're coming off a loss to Rolly Romero. So you fight whatever other nondescript fighter they can conjure up for you, because they have an obligation to offer you a fight. All you have to do is honor the deal.
They have a duty.
They have to hold up their end of the bargain, and all you have to do is honor it. It's not written anywhere that your final fight of that deal has to be Teofimo. Let them find someone else, you fight them, you beat them, and then you go your own way.
That's what he should do.
But he's a moron, so I don't know if that's what he's going to do. You don't like Oscar. You know Oscar doesn't like you.
You want to hurry up and finish out that deal so you can do your own thing. Don't make it difficult.
Ryan doing his own thing. That's a nebulous conversation in and of itself, because I don't think Turkey wants to invite him back for another Riyadh season or Ring Magazine card based on how he performed in Times Square.
That door might be closed. So if Ryan does get to become a free agent, where does he go? Matchroom, maybe.
Matchroom, I guess. I mean, that's where his old buddy Canelo Alvarez went after he left Golden Boy. I guess I could see that. Ryan migrating to Matchroom.
Oscar's not going to like that.
It's a mess. It really is, like everything else involving Ryan Garcia or Oscar De La Hoya.